Going outside, it's a war outside, it's a war outside, it's time to be ran up, you going outside, it's a war outside, I get it going outside, you in the crib, but you go outside, I get it going outside. Excellent, like the president, confirmation, strong, keep going with the president. I show you exactly what we do, that's how I represent. All cool, the same jingle, elevated, broken all black, when it's sloppy like the level, I'm crazy, shit, so maybe, cause we put it work and stop the earth until it changes. I'm strong, talk, and we hold my own, we rock solid, but we might believe the sport, the stone, niggas, we warriors, more check with pride, and let it heat. Speak, they can take it for eyes. So we talk super heavy, niggas never surprised. But those streets all working, checking the kind, niggas be blazing. Criminally white with all facts, losing dollars to the max. Cracking the pavement. You be tatted down the blood, West Harlem, nigga. You spray corn and they falling like you falling, nigga. Talking to all the niggas born in blood. And putting blood in this shit cold and blood. And that's the bird. Oh, I get it, cat tie, or they not of my kind. They got an order in the same kind, not of my kind. But got it right in my mind. I'm just not gonna recline. Anybody they come and get the vision, probably the sign. It's like whole going on outside. No man is safe from. But I hate stick swallow shots to get it quick. Nice and sell out your bones to get a sword. Now I'm up on sell out these bowls to get a fold. Ain't switch on the wall, but I'm an idiot. Cause you hold the turn Congo in the minute. I remember riding back in the days when those tinted was a lot of young know what they call me shit. I repent it. I'll do the move every time I'm out there go with it. You ain't know this shit. I'm living the truth and I'm independent. And I get my second witness as soon as niggas get hooked. It's a war going on outside. War going on outside. You in the crib with the war outside. I get it on outside. From the dust to the door outside. So when the born outside. And then you please going outside. It's just a war outside. It's a war going outside. It's next time when you plan to be on outside. It's just a war outside. I get it on outside. You in the crib with the war outside. I get it on outside. Nobody's safe. It's a war out here. If you pussy in the streets, you a whore out here. See me all shooting up in my fall out here. 752 flipping fucking car out here. I'm no burner. I still a breaking jaw out here. No fear. Scared in the motherfucking pit. They sit up in the church. You a motherfucking bitch. I give you in the first, see what I give you in the clip. 32 grams of fire and never quit. Then a lot of fuckery going down. So what's the purpose? Sick and hang around these rounds, get out the circus. If you cross that line and you get lit up the worst, it's all black curses, painted with black dirt. Get you out so sight with medics and black nurses. Leave us out the mercy. Go on that counter, ready for that bullshit. Round it like a matador. Get this kind of focus. You won't need some Adderall. Some you just a lot you win. 100 minute balls. If they say I got some screws loose, then that's true too. Don't let me let them moves do like it's a full moon. It's like I transform the boot to a wall. Come up with a strategy, maximizing the energy. Courage and peace, naked battling like a Maccabee. Find out who let that nigga on to a athlete. Never see the part this life away rapidly. Take a knee for your majesty. Take it to hate savagely. I try to leave the rap alone, but I bet that it's accurate. Keep it burning like gravity. In the middle of the average. I see calamity. Starting hope for my family. Most rappers be mad at me. Fuck them up in their faculty. They words sweet. Shit in their mouth. They causing cavity. Yeah, it's so cold. I'm not even something circus. War going on outside. You in the crib with the war outside. I get it on outside. From the dust to the door outside. So when the born outside. Get you practically torn outside. It's a war outside. It's a war torn outside. It's next time when you plan to be on outside. It's a war outside. I get it on outside. You in the crib with the war outside. I get it on outside. Yeah. Get it on outside. We out here, man. What the fuck y'all niggas doing? I'll show you how we get it done. Hardcore. That's how we represent. Boots on. Shades on. Braids in. Froze out. All black. No man safe from it. In and around. No game, no. Stay down, load the nose with the barrel. Put your whole digestive system on your fucking apparel. You want the jump shit, when you get enough in the back, we'll go to war. before I draw a sword, you better fuck this shit. Since they ain't been no problem and break with them, whole blocks full of them, powder and dumpism. All the niggas is boxed up, young prison, only get the crib, the hot stuff they come with. Life flash, some shots, bust, some work with them, but you in the flash, so knocked up, a cup in them. I ain't trying to get locked up, dumb shit up like a felony, so you guys sit. Move smooth, you can close from that nigga, scared, or you grip the moves, make you move on the nigga, yeah. You deserve it if you lose to a nigga, that's how you better watch your step, and don't move with my nigga. You never heard the class in the dark, I'm here, we here to see what they see in the park. Listen, all black, boots in the class, you fuck around, you need to hear the world, move your ass, so you be in the world. You ain't got a second to learn, you ain't got a second to turn. You start to show, you forget a word.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. With the I.S.U.P.K started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Since 1969, the I.S.U.P.K and the Commander General Yahanna has been teaching blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians who you are according to the Bible. You understand? You're the 12 lost tribes of the children of Israel. Since 1969, the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General Yahanna has been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who your oppressor is according to the Bible. This is none other than the so-called white man. You understand? His name is Esau according to the Bible. You understand? And it's time for us to learn who our enemy is. You understand? Learn that this monster is not our friend. You understand? Since 1969, we've been telling our people. You understand? The I.S.U.P.K under Commander General Yahanna has been telling our people, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, that it is time for us to learn to love each other again. That it's not time for us to hate each other. The time for hating each other and killing each other, that time is long gone. That time is over with. Now it's time for us to learn to love each other again. You understand? If you got any questions, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. You understand? Give you a brief moment, type it in the chat. On or off the topic. You understand? It's like hey, little person, so like I'm teaching class. Come. Hello. If you got any questions, you can go ahead and type it inside the chat right now.
The house of it.
All right. I got no questions. No sweat. Let's get right into the topic. So, give me 1 second. All right, let's go ahead and get right into the topic. You understand the topic of this class is basically love yourself. You understand? Learn as a nation. You understand? So-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. So like that it's time to love yourself. For too long, we have been giving our love to everybody else on the planet. For too long, we have been giving our love to the so-called Arabs, to the so-called white man, to the Africans, to the Chinese. You understand? We've been giving our love to Hawaiians. You understand? Everybody want to go to Hawaii. You understand? We've been giving our love to everybody except for who need it the most. So to understand love is to understand brotherhood. That's also to understand the law, because the law and brotherhood is built off of love. And this is what the gospel is. The gospel of the Bible revolves around loving yourself, loving your nation of people. You understand? Loving the Lord. And this is something that our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, do not understand. Because if you love yourself and you put yourself first, that means you're no longer fighting for equality. You're no longer fighting for a piece of pie from our oppressor's table. You understand? You're no longer begging our oppressor for a crumb from his table when you have a table of your own. You understand? You know, you're no longer buying into Martin Luther King's dream. You understand? Let's get the book of Matthew chapter 22. We're going to start at verse 36. Well, let's start at verse 34. The book of Matthew chapter 22, start at verse 34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. So the Pharisees heard that Christ was out there teaching, and he put the Sadducees to silence, meaning he shut all their mouths. The words that he was saying made them be quiet. It made them feel very small. And the Pharisees heard this, and they were astonished. And they gathered together to hear what he was going to say. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put it in the chat on or off the topic. You understand? If you got any questions, this is the scripture breakdown class for Milwaukee. The class is going up for Milwaukee for right now. So if you have any questions on or off the topic, go ahead and type it in the chat. But the Sadducees, you understand, they was put to silence by King Yahushua. And when the Pharisees heard it, they gathered themselves together to hear what our king had to say. Let's read on verse 35. And one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? So one of the Pharisees, thinking he's gonna cut Christ, thinking he's gonna get Christ to say something wrong. You understand? He asked him, which is the great commandment in the law? This is what Christ said, verse 37. And Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. So Christ looked at this Pharisee, he looked at this brother, and he said, the first and great commandment, the greatest commandment is that you love the Lord with everything you have. You understand? You take your mind and your ideologies out of this world, and you stop believing that your oppressor is the greatest power. And you love the Lord and understand who you serve. And you obey him like your life depends on it. You understand? You obey the Lord with everything you have, and you love him with everything you have. This is what Christ told the Pharisee. Let's read on. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Christ said, on these two commandments, the first one, you love the Lord with everything you have. And the second one, you love your brother just like you love yourself. And on these two commandments hang the whole balance of the law. Meaning this, if I love the Lord with everything I have, I'm going to do what he said. I'm going to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. I'm not going to eat pork. I'm not going to eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. I'm not going to do what I want to do, because sometimes what my flesh wants to do is contrary to what the Lord wants to do. You want to smoke weed. You understand? The Lord is not okay with you smoking weed. You understand? This is why it's important to love the Lord with everything you have. In spite of how you feel, you obey him because it's your duty. You obey your father so you can gain your crown. And the second is like unto the first, meaning it's damn near just important as the first one. You love your brother as yourself. You don't want your brother, and this commandment that Christ gave. This commandment can stop the gang violence. This can stop MS-13s coming up against Latin Kings coming up against GDs coming up against Bloods against Crips. You understand? Crips against Serenos. This will stop all of that. This will stop the Serenos coming up against the Mexican mafia. This will stop it all. Because if you understand, if I don't want to die, then I probably should spare my brother his life. If I don't want to see my mother strung out on drugs, then I shouldn't sell drugs to my brother's mother. If I wouldn't want to be homeless, scratching myself all the time because I done snorted up all the crack in the world, and now I'm looking for my next fix. And I shouldn't sell cocaine to my brother. I shouldn't do anything to harm my brother if I wouldn't want harm to be done to me. And this is what the law hangs on. The law hangs on brotherhood. If my brother offends me, instead of pulling out a gun, shooting him, and so his whole family can mourn, and then going and shooting up the funeral. If I don't want to be put in the ground, and I don't want any of my family members put in the ground, then maybe I shouldn't shoot up somebody else's funeral and cause a funeral in the first place. This is what the law hangs on. This is what everything hangs on. This is what the prophets taught. The prophets taught brotherhood. The prophets taught Israel to love yourself. Why did the prophets always have to teach Israel to love ourselves? Because Israel is a stubborn and stiff-necked people. We've always wanted to chase after the other nations. We've always wanted to love the other nations. So Christ said, the greatest two commandments, the first and the great one, is to love the Lord with everything you got and to love your neighbor as yourself. You understand? Let's get Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Here's something that the Christian church will use, and they'll say, well, you see, this is why we have to forgive Dylan Roof. This is why we have to forgive the murderers of Emmett Till. We have to forgive that woman that lied on Emmett Till, that filthy, wicked devil that lied on Emmett Till. Christian church will say, this is why we have to forgive him. The Christian church will say, this is why we have to forgive George Zimmerman for killing Trayvon Martin. This is why we have to forgive Derek Chauvin for putting his knee on George Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes. This is why we have to forgive our oppressors for all the rape, robbery, and murder that they've done to the Blacks, Hispanics, and Indigenous brothers and sisters of this land. This is what the Christian church will say. Because Christ said to love your neighbor as yourself. That's your neighbor. You go outside, you go across the street. You know, and for them, it's, if they take it literally, for them it's true. Because they've done a great job at robbing Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So they've come out of the ghetto to move into a nicer a nicer neighborhood where our oppressors live at. So their literal neighbors now are our oppressors. But you know who your neighbor is? You know who my neighbor is? That nigga across the street. That Hispanic next door. That Native Indian on the reservation. That's my neighbor. You understand? That's the ones that know what it feels like to be on the bottom. That's the ones that know my suffering. That's the one whose bloodline run back to the same bloodline mine run back to. You understand? Let's get Leviticus 19 and 17. Let's prove who your neighbor is according to the Bible. Verse 17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and suffer sin upon him. You understand? The neighbor that the Bible is talking about is your brother. You understand? And we're gonna prove it. Verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. You understand? The scriptures say to love your neighbor. That's talking about the children of your people, your stock. You understand? Everybody is not your neighbor. You leave it to the Christian church. You understand? You'll be loving the so-called white man for another 400 plus years. Trying to join yourself with him, doing exactly what Martin Luther King told you to do, not understanding that what Martin Luther King did was lead you into a burning house. You're loving a race of people that is constantly trying to destroy you, constantly trying to murder you. You understand? Leave it to the Christian church. This is who you'll constantly be loving. You understand? Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 4. Again, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat. Whether it be Facebook or via YouTube, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. Let's get Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9. It says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently. The scriptures say, take heed to yourself. Watch what you're doing. You understand? Don't be trying to do what everybody else do all the time. Listen, here's the difference between black on black crime and white on white crime. Black on black crime is exactly that. It's black on black crime. White on white crime is World War III, World War I, and World War II. That's white on white crime. You understand? It's time for us to stop hating one another and search out yourself. We just did a class, Salakia, for Gary and Yahanna, and was talking about we was talking about fighting your demons. You understand? The scriptures say only take heed to yourself and keep your soul diligently. What does that mean? That means fight your demons. You got an urge to want to hate your brother. That's a demon. Now you better fight that. You understand? Take heed to yourself. See what's going to stop you from getting your crown. You understand? Like the scriptures say, the scriptures say the heart is desperately wicked, deceitful above all. Who can know it? You understand? This is why it's important not to do what you want to do. This is why it's important to obey Christ. Christ said to keep the law. Christ said to love the Lord and love your brother. If you don't do the two, if you don't love your brother and love the Most High with everything you have, You're breaking the law. You're disobeying a direct order from your king. You understand? This is why it's so important to learn to fight your demons, because in doing so, you are taking heed to yourself. When the Christian churches, and they used to say, they say this all the time, and they don't. They say it, and they so gay when they say it. So like it's horrible when they say it. And they always try to say, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around somebody else's. And it's as sad as the Christian church make it, as bad as the Christian church make that seem, because they don't want to sweep around their own front door. Like, they don't care about what's even in their house. They're not going to sweep around the front door because they're not cleaning out their house. But the scriptures say, take heed to yourself, meaning what? Observe the man in the mirror. You understand? Like, see what you're doing wrong and try to fix what you're doing wrong so that you can be found blameless in the eyes of the Lord. Job was found blameless in the Lord's eyes. You want to be found blameless in the eyes of the Lord. Christ said, be ye therefore perfect. Let's read on. Only take heed to yourself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen. If you don't take heed to yourself and you don't keep your soul diligently, meaning if you don't stay in class, if you don't stay seeking counsel, if you don't throw up prayers, if you don't keep your soul diligently, you're gonna forget what the Lord has done for you. You're gonna forget what the Lord brought you out of, and you're gonna go right back to it. You're gonna forget that you used to be a whore, and the Lord stopped you from being a whore, and you're gonna go right back to being a filthy, wicked whore. You're gonna forget that you was a drug dealer, and that it took one bad drug deal for you to understand that that wasn't for you and for you to come into the truth. And you're going to go right back to doing it to the point where you lose your life and you die an unhonorable death. You die the death of a coward. You're going to forget that the Lord brought you out of the homosexual church. That filthy wicked Christian church. And if you don't keep your soul, you're going to find yourself right back in that filthy, wicked, evil church. Running around the church saying, oh, well, I used to be a Hebrew Israelite and the Lord delivered me from that. Now I'm saved. And now you back on the arrogance and you back on the pride. And not only are you back on the arrogance and pride, but you don't know what side you want to be on. That's why it's important to keep your soul diligently, or you'll forget what marvelous things the Lord has done for you. You will forget that Christ, our King, the greatest black man, the greatest nigga that ever walked the face of the earth, you'll forget that he actually laid down his life so that you can live, so that you could have communication with the Most High. You will forget that the greatest man to walk, the man that can calm the sea, that calm the storm, that can walk in the middle of the sea on the water without sinking. You'll forget that this man died for you to get off drugs. And you'll go right back to snorting that cocaine, smoking marijuana, taking ecstasy, Xanax. You'll go right back to twerking in the strip club. You understand? You'll go right back to everything that you was doing before you came into the school, before you found out who you was. and you'll go right back to it. And you won't care, you won't no longer care about the truth, because not only will you gain that demon back, but the scriptures say that demon comes back with 7 more stronger than himself. So now not only are you out of the truth, not only are you back, smoking marijuana, now you out there selling drugs to your people while being a flaming on homosexual. You wasn't a homosexual before, but now you're a flame on homosexual. Now you're prone to every disease in the world. Every sexual transmitted disease you possibly may end up getting. Not a matter of fact, not a possibility. You'll get every disease because you left the truth. You knew you was in the truth and you left it. That's why the scriptures say, take heed to yourself. Watch what you're doing. You understand? Love yourself. Love who you are. You are the Lord's chosen people. You are a prince of the power. Let's read on. Lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. So not only are you going to forget what you've seen, but everything that was in your heart that you once held dear. The truth that was so dear to you at one point, it don't mean nothing to you no more. Now your mind is everywhere except for on the Lord. Select. Give me 1 second, Brother Kushah. Select.
Get the food.
This is why it's important. You understand that to learn to keep your soul diligently. You understand the very thing that the Lord delivered you from, and the very thing that the Lord brought you to, you're gonna end up giving it all away, and you're not gonna give a damn that you even gave it away in the first place. It's not gonna mean anything to you no more. You understand? Let's drop this. Let's get 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 15.
1 Timothy chapter 4.
First Timothy chapter 4, verse 15.
Okay.
Come. And you can, if you want, you can jump in anytime. So.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 15. Meditate upon these things. Give thyself wholly to them.
The scriptures say, meditate upon these things. What are you meditating on? You're meditating on the law of the Lord. You're meditating on the things that the Lord brought you out of. You understand? You're meditating on what our King I.S.U.P.K did for you. You're meditating on how he did something that he did not want to do. You think Christ wanted to die on the cross? Christ didn't want to give up his life. That's why in the garden he said, if it be so, Father, let this cup pass from me. Christ did not want to die. So what do you meditate on? You meditate on the fact that the greatest man that ever walked this earth did something that he did not want to do so that you could live. You meditate on the fact that now we have to be found worthy of our King. Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments is, the scriptures say it's not grievous. Like it's not something that's hard to do. The Christian church make it hard to do. They'll tell you that it's impossible to be perfect because they don't want to be perfect. They don't want to keep the laws because they want to eat pork. They want to eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. So when they eat pork, they eat shrimp, crab, and lobster, and they tell you to do it, then that justifies them doing it. They go to a Chinese restaurant and they eat all the pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster in the world. If they see you walk inside there, they'll smile. They'll ask you to come sit next to them because in their mind, they're justified in what they're doing because you're doing it now. They're not the only ones disobeying the law of the Lord. You understand? The scriptures say, meditate upon this. Christ came and gave you grace so that you don't have to keep doing this crap. So you don't have to keep being a filthy, evil, wicked bastard. That's what Christ did. Christ came so you can keep the law. So that you can, so your contract with the Most High so you can have a new contract with, that's what Christ did. Christ came to usher in a new contract between Israel and the Most High.
That's right.
Now, if you don't keep your soul diligently, if you don't meditate on these things, you understand, you don't care about the contract. Meaning you don't care about the kingdom of heaven. Because that's what the contract is. That's what the promise is. You read Romans 9, that's what it is. You read Jeremiah 31 and 31, that's what the contract is. You understand? But if you don't want to take heed to yourself, you don't want to meditate on the Lord day and night, like King David said, and in thy law do I meditate day and night. If you don't want to meditate on the Lord day and night, then maybe it's not for you. Maybe the kingdom of heaven and the power and the glory that comes with it, maybe rulership is not for you. Maybe it's not for someone that's weak. That's what the Christian pastor is. That's a weak coward. And in here we are not allowed to be cowards. That's why it's important to meditate. If you don't meditate on it, it becomes easy to drop your soul. It becomes easy to come in here and get all the recognition. Everybody know who you are. Then you stop meditating on the Lord. Now every demon is battling is in your mind battling you, and now you don't have no strength to fight back because you haven't been doing the necessities.
That's right.
Now it becomes easy for you to back out of the truth, and it's the wrong time to back up. You understand? Like Christ is Christ can come back any moment now. Our King can return. You understand? Like our King can return any moment now. And you want to back out the truth and not meditate on the law day and night for what? Sorry, if you could.
They that properly this may appear to all. Verse 16. Take heed unto thyself.
The scriptures say, take heed to yourself. It's so important to take heed, to watch what the hell you're doing. Watch what you're saying.
That's right.
Don't let that's why we say young men and troopers, like, shut the hell up. Don't talk. It's not meant for you to go out and try to battle and go out and try to break anything down right now. Like, at this point, you be quiet and you soak up everything from the men above you. If you don't understand what somebody's breaking down, you ask a question. You understand? If you don't want to be a young man or a trooper, if you want to be a student in the school, keep your mouth closed. That's what taking heed to yourself is. You understand? You're not taking heed to yourself is not you being worried about somebody else. That's the job of the priests and prophets.
That's right.
You understand? That's not your job. The scriptures say, take heed to yourself. Watch what you're doing. Be careful of the things that surround you. If you hanging out with people that constantly eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, and they don't care about you or your belief or your culture to stop doing it around you, then maybe you should hang out with different people.
That's right.
If you don't care about your homeboys going out and sleeping with white women, if you love them so much that you can't stop hanging out with them and they going out sleeping with white women, then maybe you don't love yourself enough. The scriptures say, take heed to yourself. If you got friends that's loving everybody else, it might be time for you to let them go. You understand? If I could.
And unto the doctrine tree.
The scriptures say, take heed unto the doctrine. What doctrine are you taking heed to? It's not the Christian church. We took heed to that already. Yeah. And what did that lead us? That led us in a worse condition than what we was in. The Christian church led us from being a physical slave to being the worst mental slave on the planet.
That's right.
Now, because of the Christian church, we love everybody, no matter who you are. So now we want, because of the Christian church, we want salvation to go to the very people that put us in hell in the first place.
That's right.
The doctrine that you take heed to is that salvation is only for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. The doctrine you take heed to is love your brother as yourself. Here's the doctrine you take heed to. You can't serve two masters.
That's right.
Either you love one and you hate the other. You understand? You can't serve, like the scriptures say, you can't serve God and mammon. You can't serve the Most High and fulfill the lust of your flesh at the same time. You're either going to serve the demons or you're going to serve the Lord. There's a doctrine that you better take hold to. Because if you don't, your crown, you may not get. That may not be something that you get to pass down from generation to generation. I would rather take heed to the Lord and take heed to the men above me, knowing that they don't want me to fail. That's the beautiful thing about the I.S.U.P.K and the Commander General Yahanna. Like in here, we don't want nobody to fail. We want all Israel to be saved.
That's right.
We're not like these fake Israelite groups going out there yelling out, oh, 2/3 of you niggas gonna be destroyed. 2/3, but at the same time saying, oh well, you know, we're gonna get your 12-year-old daughter as soon as she get on her flower. And then I'm gonna give you 50 shekels. That's not us. We're gonna keep the commandments and we're going to put ourselves in the position so when our king return, he say, see them niggas right there? I want them niggas to fight with me. Them the niggas that I want to be given these glorious bodies to. I don't want them niggas. Them niggas is who them niggas. That's who I want. That's because we're keeping our soul diligently.
That's right.
We're taking heed to ourselves. And guess what? We're seeking counsel. We're not just out here. That's the beautiful thing about being in here. Like it's in here, you're forced to live it. You can't just walk it. I mean, you can't just talk about it. You can't just say I'm doing this and don't do it. In the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General Yahanna, you have to do what you say. You're bound to your word.
That's right.
You understand? If you say you're gonna love your brother, love your brother. If you say you hate your enemy, hate your enemy. You understand? If you say you're going to help a brother out, you help that brother out because you're bound to your word in it. If you could, sir.
Continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee.
Listen, and us doing what we're doing, the I.S.U.P.K, we're seeking to both save ourselves and to save the ones that hear us. Everyone that come into this school, everyone that come into this school, everyone that come across the videos of the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General Yahanna, whether it be in Milwaukee or in Gary or in Houston or Chicago or in Philly or in New York or California or in Mexico or in Guatemala, or in Puerto Rico or in Haiti or in Jamaica or in Trinidad and Tobago or in the UK, you understand, or in Canada. Wherever you hear this truth at, we do this so that you can gain your salvation as well. We don't just do it for us, we do it for everybody. Because our prayer is like what Paul's prayer was. We want all Israel to be saved. We don't give a damn about the rest of the nations. They had their chance to rule.
That's right.
And they ruled over us with cruelty.
That's right.
So who would we be as priests and prophets of the Lord to be like the Christian pastors and say, yeah, we want salvation, the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, Christ said he's gonna be here, but wouldn't it be nice if I could live next door to a white man? Wouldn't it be nice if I can go to learn karate from I.S.U.P., man, while we're in the kingdom of heaven? That's not us. We're in here. We're teaching that we're going to put I.S.U.P. man under subjection.
That's right.
He ain't finna be over there fighting nobody, doing all his kung fu in the kingdom of heaven unless he get the order to. And if he get the order to, he better do it with perfection. I mean, better than what the movies tell. Listen, what we want is we want power in here. We fight for power. That's why it's so important to love your brother. Love your brother as yourself. That's why it's important to love the Lord with everything you have. That's why it's important to keep your soul and take heed to yourself. Because when you're doing these things, you're fighting for power. You're fighting for rulership. You understand? We could drop that and get Ecclesiasticus chapter 12. And listen, this is why it's important, you understand, to take heed to yourself. The scriptures say in Romans, to leave, in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Meaning, if you conform to the world, you're not taking heed to yourself. I mean, you don't care about taking heed to yourself because you care about everything else. You care about what the next wave is. You care about the next trend. You understand? You trying to fight like they over there, they done past twerking. Now they on this African twerk. Now, because that's the trend, you want to be like them. And you do it better than they do it, so they're going to throw your videos to the front of the world. And they're going to make you look like the biggest whore in the whole world.
That's right.
Because you don't want to be you. You don't want to take heed of yourself. You know who you are? You are a precious daughter of Zion.
That's right.
You are a prince of the power.
That's right.
That's who you are. So-called white man is not a prince of the power. He is a devil. The so-called African is not a prince of the power. They're not daughters of Zion. You think that a son of the Most High and a daughter of Zion is going to take a bath in Kalmanu? They no. Listen. These records right here, this belongs to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
That's right.
Nobody else.
That's right.
And through these records, you can take heed to yourself. You can learn how to be a better person. You can learn how to be, if you're a woman, you can learn how to be better than other women. If you're a man, you can learn how to be better than other men. You're looking at two men now that are better than other men.
That's right.
Because we wasn't afraid to sit down and be quiet and be taught. We're not afraid to die for each other.
That's right.
You understand? Like we're not afraid to when we do something wrong to get corrected. Love is correction. If you do something wrong, be prepared to be corrected. That's love. If nobody ever corrects you and you're constantly doing stuff wrong and you're not taking heed to yourself and nobody never corrects you, that means nobody loves you.
That's right.
Ain't nobody give a damn about what you do. I remember growing up in high school. I'm playing football. And it's one kid on the team. We practicing and he just off in his own world. Just doing his own thing. And I remember a lineman was, everybody else, if we didn't pay attention to the coach, you know what I'm saying, we taking off doing sprints. This one that was off in his own world, the coach didn't care about him. We trying to get him to come in. The coach was like, let him be. That kid never saw any playing time. He didn't play in practice or in the games. Not once. Not once did he touch the field. If you don't get corrected on anything, nobody loves you. The scriptures say he chastens that whom he loveth. I mean, if he loves you, he gonna correct you. That's what a good father does.
That's right.
Understand? That's like if we could. We'll read from verse 1 down to verse 6.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 1. When thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest to, for shalt thou be thanked by thy benefits.
Listen, the scriptures say, when you do good, know who you're doing good to.
That's
You
right.
understand? Like you don't want to just do good to anybody, because everybody don't deserve your goodness. Here's the problem. This is why Martin Luther King was such an evil, filthy, wicked bastard.
That's right.
Now our people want to do good to our enemies. We want to do good to the ones that raped, robbed, and murdered us for the last 400 plus years.
That's right.
And so much that you would rather go to the kingdom of heaven and still be a second-class citizen to them. The scriptures say, know who you're doing good to. Do good to your people. You know that indigenous brother that's in the barrios and the reservations? The ones that's literally in the reservations that don't got a pot to piss in. He needs you to do good for him. That sister that's there that don't got nothing to make food out of, that's making bread out of the worst that the best she can find, which is the worst you got. She needs you to do good. The women that's on the barrios inside those cages down on the border of Mexico, they need you to do good for them.
That's right.
These little kids that's trapped in cages down there on the border, they need you to do good for them. The so-called white man don't need us to do good for them. They've been getting our good for 400 plus years. We built them the greatest empire on the face of the goddamn planet.
That's right.
We got to keep being good for them. We got to keep doing our best for them. And we built them the greatest stinking empire on the planet. Everybody's afraid of America because of us.
That's right.
And you mean to tell me we got to keep doing good to them? The scriptures say, watch who you do good to. You understand?
Verse 2. Do good to the godly man.
The scriptures say, do good to the godly man. Who are the godly men? Those are the ones that have served the Lord unto death, if need be. These are the ones that have served the Lord no matter the condition, no matter what. These are the men found in the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General Yahanna.
That's right.
You understand? These men are not found nowhere else. These are your godly men. You have godly sisters too. They're also found in the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General Yahanna. You understand? Like, these are the ones that's not afraid to battle their demons. These are the ones that's not afraid to take a check-in, because they know that check-in is going to lead to them having eternal life.
That's right.
It's a lot if I could, sir. What's like?
And thou shalt find a recompense.
The scriptures say you shall find a recompense. That means you're going to get back what you've done. You understand? You get, listen, that's what Christ said. What he say? He said, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I needed a place to lay my head, you took me in. When I didn't have no clothes, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you came to visit me. You understand? This is who you're supposed to do good to now, because you've done all of this stuff. Now you get to inherit the kingdom of heaven. That's your recompense. The kingdom of heaven, the glory, everything that comes with it. So, like, go ahead and read it if you could.
And if not for him, if not for him, yet from the Most High.
Listen, if the brother or sister that you do good to, if they don't recompense you back, if they don't repay you back for all the good that you've done to them, the Lord is going to do it. Meaning, great is your reward in heaven. The Lord see that scripture, we went over this last night in the Chicago scripture breakdown. The eyes of the Lord are to and fro throughout the whole earth, beholding the evil and the good. You understand? He's not just beholding the evil. He's not just beholding the good. He's beholding both. So he sees what you're doing. So you helping a brother out. You understand? If that brother never ever gets the chance to repay you back, you're not supposed to hate that brother. You're not supposed to feel some type of way, man. I gave everything to that brother, and I helped him out. That brother just didn't come through. Like he said, he said he was going to try to, but he couldn't do nothing. Man, you're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to help a brother out of brotherhood. Help a brother out of love. And if he can't pay you back, know the Lord is going to pay you back. There's been times whenever I was actually doing great, I've helped people out, and I mean to the point where I've never been to that point where I just, hey, give me this back, I'm gonna come see you. You know what I'm saying? But there's been times where I've helped a brother out, and I knew he wasn't gonna pay me back. I just gave it to him. And when you want me to pay you back? I knew he wasn't gonna pay me back. And hey, I can pay you back on this day. I knew it wasn't gonna come back on that day. So I did, no sweat, you can have it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Everything's cool. We good. Because at the end of the day, my reward don't come from him paying me back or not. My reward comes from the Lord. The increase comes from the Lord.
That's right.
The scriptures say he owned the cattle on 1,000 hills. You mean to tell me that you so worried about if a brother can pay you back or not, that you can't really focus on the one that owns the whole goddamn planet, owns the whole universe? We talking about the one that literally commanded angels to create everything with Christ. Created Christ and then told Christ to create angels. And then Christ created the angels and then the angels create everything. And then we're going to limit him. That's how small-minded we are. That's how selfish we become as a people versus to loving each other. You understand? Versus to, hey man, you ain't got it, no sweat. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And you know, in here, we live this for real. Like we live this for real in here. That's why we always say, if you're not in the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General Yahanna, you are not in the truth. Because in here, we live it. You understand?
Verse 3. There shall be no good come down. Verse 3. Thou shalt no good come to him that is always occupied with evil.
Listen, if you always occupied, your mind is always on evil things, the Lord can't do nothing for you. Nothing good can come of something. The Lord rewards evil with evil. Why would he give you something good if you're always rendering evil? If you're a worker of evil, why do you expect the Lord to give you something good? You can gain the whole world. You think, like, here's what Christians think. Christians think that, oh well, I'm selling all these drugs and you know what I'm saying, I'm in a Christian church and I'm making all this money. The Lord gotta be blessing me because I got a new house. I got the best car that I can think of. I got everything I want. Meanwhile, you don't understand that you are a second away from your life being taken away from you.
That's right.
You are a second away from you going to prison for the rest of your life or you being gunned down, dying a coward's death. You understand? The Lord rewards evil with evil. If you do evil, he's going to give you evil in return. So like, you go ahead and read it.
Nor to him that giveth no alms. Verse 4. Give to the holy man.
The scriptures say give to the holy or the godly man. Give to the ones that really serve the Lord. Listen, we have priest funds here. We say it all the time. We say it in the announcements, priest funds say free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. But if you want to give to somebody, give to the ones that's doing the work of the Lord.
That's right.
You understand? Give to the ones that, listen, how many of our brothers and sisters sent money to the I.S.U.P.K to help the I.S.U.P.K whenever all the Haitians was under the border, that was under the bridge down at the border of Mexico? We should have been flooded with money from our people. So like, when our brothers and sisters down, it's like when our brothers, Captain Yahanna, went to Texas, our people should have flooded the I.S.U.P.K with money.
That's right.
Because we was going to do a godly thing. This was godly men going to do a godly thing. We were going to take care of our people. Captain Yahanna did what Moses did. He went and saw the conditions of his people. He saw how the Christian church, how they say all the time, how we supposed to love everybody. Meanwhile, they loving the so-called white man and hating their own goddamn brothers under the bridge.
That's right.
Hating those women and children under the bridge. You understand? This is why you're supposed to send your money to them. You want to send money somewhere? You give it to the priest of the Lord in the I.S.U.P.K.
That's right.
You understand? So like if you could.
And help not a sinner.
And do what?
Help not a sinner.
Listen, don't give a sinner anything. You don't need it. Why are you going to give something to someone that the Lord hates? The scriptures say in Psalms that the Lord hates all workers of iniquity, meaning the Lord hates sinners. So you're going to help somebody that the Lord hates versus helping somebody that the Lord loves that's trying to better the nation of Israel?
That's right.
That makes no sense at all. Stop helping sinners and help the Lord. Just pay your tithes. That's what you can do. 10% of everything you get belongs to the Lord. Send that in to the I.S.U.P.K.
That's right.
So you go ahead and read on.
Verse 5. Do well unto him that is lowly, and give not to the ungodly.
The scriptures say, do well unto him that is lowly. You understand? If you see somebody down and they love, do well unto them. And don't give anything to the ungodly. That's the same as giving unto sinners. You're talking about somebody that don't care about the Lord. Refuse to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and you want to constantly give to them. You understand? When somebody else who need it you can help someone who really need it.
That's right.
You understand? Don't help the ones that don't need it. Give to the ones that need it.
Right.
So like,
hold back thy bread, and give to not until him. Lest he overmaster thyself. Thee thereby.
listen, this is why it's important for you not to give to the ungodly. Because he's so ungodly, he's going to try to one-up you. He's saying he needs it when he don't need it.
That's right.
He want it because you have it. He wanted because he knows you'll give it to him.
That's
You understand? He's going to overmaster you, meaning he's going to outthink you, and he's going to swindle you out of what is yours. When you can take that same money, you can take that same food, and you can take that same car that you're going to give to somebody, and you can give it to somebody that really needs it, that's serving the Lord. You understand? So, like, you better research.
For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all good that thou have done unto him.
Listen, you're going to receive 2 times as much evil for all the good that you've done unto the evil. You're giving the evil so much gifts and doing so many wonderful things to these evil, filthy, wicked bastards that you're going to they're going to get their reward with evil, but you're going to get what they get times 2.
That's right.
Because instead of giving what you have to the godly person, you decided to give it to the evil, wicked bastard that don't deserve it. So now the Lord is not only going to punish the evil, but he's going to punish you for giving to the evil. You understand? Like, you go ahead and research.
Verse 6. For the Most High hateth sinners.
That don't sound like the God of love. That don't sound like I love everybody.
That's right.
That don't sound like a God that's giving out hugs and kisses to everybody.
That's right.
The Lord, listen, Christian church say that the Lord is all love. We just read different. The scriptures say in Psalms, he hates workers of iniquity. And right here, it says that he hates sinners. That's the same thing. He hates all sinners, meaning as long as you are in sin, the Lord don't love you. And if he don't love you, what does that mean? He hates you.
That's right.
It's love. There's no in between in love or hate. It's either you're loved or you're hated. Either you love or you hate. That's why with us in the I.S.U.P.K, we can hate with a perfect hatred and love with a perfect love. Because we love our people so much that we don't have any more love to give out.
That's right.
Now, the only thing we have left to give out is what? Hatred. What do we hate? We hate sinners. We hate sin. We hate what the Lord hates. You understand? It's a lot. You keep reading, sir.
And he repay vengeance unto them ungodly.
The scriptures say he will repay vengeance unto the ungodly. You understand? The Bible says vengeance is mine, said the Lord. How would the Lord repay vengeance to the ungodly? So, like, give me a second. I'm gonna grab Ezekiel 25:14 while you're holding that, sir. Good. This is how the Lord is going to repay vengeance to the ungodly. Here's a very ungodly man in the Bible whose name is Esau. You understand? He committed all kind of treason to the Lord's people and to the Lord.
That's right.
You understand? He raped, robbed, and murdered. That's all he's done on this planet. You understand? The scriptures say, verse 14, 25 and 14. The scriptures say the words of his mouth is smoother than butter. You understand? He'll come to you with slick words to try to get you to give something over to him.
That's
You
right.
understand? And get you to love him and appreciate him, and get you to let down your guard. Whole time, evil and war is inside this evil man's heart. This is what how the Lord is going to repay his vengeance. If you could, sir.
Ezekiel chapter 24, verse 14. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom, and by the hand of my people Israel.
Listen, the Lord is going to repay Edom. These filthy, wicked monsters who you choose to love so much.
That's right.
You understand? These bastards who you're so quick to give everything to, even though they own the whole goddamn planet. You understand? The Lord is going to repay him by the hand of the children of Israel.
Yeah.
You understand? This is how the Lord is going to repay them for all the rape, robbery, and murder, all the evilness that they've done.
That's
You
right.
understand? Swindling you when you don't listen. You don't have a pot to piss in. They're gonna take your pot. You understand? All you got to your name is a pair of shoes. They're gonna take the shoes off your feet. You understand? They're so good at thievery. They're so good at rape, robbery, and murder.
That's right.
You understand? The Lord has to kill these monsters.
That's right.
You understand? If we could get back to Ecclesiastes, we could. So shut up.
And verse 6, and keeping them against the mighty day of their punishment.
And keep them against the mighty day. What's the mighty day of their punishment? That's what I love about the Bible. That's what Christian pastors don't want to read.
That's right.
The mighty day of their punishment is read in the book of Obadiah.
That's right.
That's where it's read at, where Joseph is going to be a fire and Jacob a flame. And they're going to kindle in them. You understand? And the house of Esau is going to be stubble. You understand? And there shall be none remaining in the house of Esau, for the Lord have spoken it.
That's right.
This is the day, their day of judgment. You understand? This is the Lord repaying vengeance to them. You understand? If we could, let's drop this. Let's get Matthew chapter 5, verse 29. But this is why it's so important for us as a people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, to learn to take heed to ourselves. You understand? Not be given into don't be given into much wine. When I say much wine, I don't mean literally. I mean mentally. You understand? Be sober-minded. It's not the time to always like be thrown off on your emotions. You understand? This is the time to learn to fight your demons and win. This is the time to understand that your battle is not what everybody else sees. You understand? Your battle, your battle is not of this world.
That's right.
You have a power called there is a power called Satan that is trying to stop you from getting your crown. He's trying to sift you out like wheat. That's your battle.
That's right.
Your battle is the spiritual demon Shaitan that's trying to stop you from getting your crown, from inheriting the kingdom of heaven, from gaining power. Your job is to defeat him. Somebody, if we could.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 29. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out.
If thy eye offend you, pluck it out. What does that mean? That's not literal. I mean, if you constantly looking at pornography, you can't get over watching females twerk. For women, if you can't get over, all like looking at all this stuff you're looking at because it's causing you to be an evil, filthy, wicked dragon, stop looking at it. That's all it's saying. It's not saying physically cut your eye out. You understand? But you have to learn to distract your mind from that and put your mind on the Lord. Let the Lord be your distraction.
That's right.
If the Lord is your distraction, that means the world ain't distracting you.
That's right.
Then you can fight your demons because you're obeying Him. I mean, you're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? If your right eye offends you, pluck it out. If you're looking at stuff you're not supposed to look at, pluck it out. Stop looking at it. If I could, sir.
And cast it from thee.
Meaning get it away from you. Stop doing it. The Christian church, they would always say do it 360. Which if you do, that don't make sense. You do it 360, you right back doing it again. Like you have to do a 180 turn away from it and not look back at it. Like this was the problem with Lot and his wife. Lot's wife, the Lord told them to flee from Sodom and Gomorrah, and He was going to burn it with fire. And He told them to run away from it and don't look back. You understand? Like Lot's wife wanted to look back on what she knew, her previous life. She wanted to see it. And she got turned into a pillar of salt and she lost her life.
That's right.
Here's the thing. If you don't cut out your eye, you don't turn from it. Not your physical eye. But if you don't stop watching the things that so easily beset you, can easily get inside your spirit to cause you to be out of character and cause you to turn away from the Lord. You understand? Like that can lead to your detriment. You understand? If you could, sir.
For if thou prophetess from thee that one of thy members shall perish.
Listen, it is better for you if one of your members should be gone, meaning no longer with you. You understand? Go ahead and read, sir.
And not they, and not that and not that shall the whole body shall be cast into hell.
Listen, it's better to lose one of your members and save your whole body than to lose your whole body. It's better. It was better for Lot not to even turn around. It was better for her to run away and not look back and kill that thought inside of her that wanted to look back than for her to look back and be killed.
That's right.
You understand? Like it's better for you. That's why the scriptures say no man buildeth anything without sitting down first and counting the cost.
That's right.
You don't do something without actually counting the cost of what you're doing. What is this going to cost me? You understand? Like here's why it's important to actually obey the Lord. Because when you learn to if you don't obey Him, it can cost you everything.
That's right.
You can lose everything. When I mean everything, I'm not talking about here in America. Like, understand me good. This is not the final kingdom on this planet. The next kingdom on this planet is going to be ran by Christ.
That's right.
And for all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, if you don't learn to obey the Lord now, you can lose out on getting your crown.
That's right.
That's the price. You gotta sit there and have to be reborn back into the kingdom of heaven, seeing all these people having their crowns being passed down from generation to generation, and you don't get one. You just sit there and wish that, man, I wish if I had a crown on my head, man, I'd do things like this. I built this. Guess what? You don't have a crown on your head because you didn't count the cost. You was too busy looking at pornography. You didn't count the cost of, maybe Christ would come back at the moment that I start watching this.
That's right.
Maybe my king will return the moment I decide to leave the truth and become gay and become a coward again. This is why it's so important to obey the Lord and keep the commandments.
That's right.
Your life depends on it.
That's right.
You understand? And with that, with the I.S.U.P.K started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we've been teaching our Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians who you are according to the Bible. You understand? This is the Milwaukee class. Shalom.
Shalom.